What's up, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Sports Picks. Brian and I are going to have a great show for you this Tuesday. Get you ready for the betting week. Brian, it's good to see you, buddy. How we doing?
Doing great, my man. What's going on? I say I'm doing great. My picks were not very good this past weekend for all our listeners that tailed me. My bad, but we closed the book on that, and it's on to the next one.
Hey, that's all we could do, man. You know what? It's just week one. We got a whole season ahead of us. Everybody, welcome in A to Z Sports Picks. I'm Alan Bell, CBS Sportsline, alongside of Brian Edwards of VegasInsider.com. A to Z Sports Picks is brought to you every Tuesday and Friday by BetMGM, the king of sports books. Everyone, make sure to download that BetMGM app. If you use promo code A to Z Sports today, you could get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000. $1,000. Use promo code A to Z Sports. That's BetMGM, the king of sports books. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years or older. Must be present in the state of Tennessee. For gambling problem support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789. So, Brian, we have real football across the board, both sports, and we're not going to waste any time. I want to jump in it. I want to break down week 2 college football, week 1 of the NFL. It's upcoming this week. So what we're going to do first, let's jump into the local teams here. Okay. So we got 3 games that I want to look at for this week. And these are teams that are in the state of Tennessee. And what I want to do is just let's just identify our initial leans, right? Like, it's only Tuesday. We don't have to make official picks on everything across the board, but it is time to start getting our ducks in a row and get ourselves prepared for where we're at. So I'm going to list the 3 games, all right? And let's just break each one of them down. We don't have to spend a ton of time doing it, but just take a quick look at where this team sits, what we saw last week in terms of college football, and then what we see this week coming. So we'll start the NFL. We got the Cardinals and the Titans. Titans are a 3-point favorite, plays Sunday afternoon. Total of 51.5. Where do you sit so far on this one, Brian?
Well, I bet the Titans like 2 months ago in this one, and I still like the Titans. Nothing's changed. Relatively injury-free in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I know Julio hadn't played, and I saw a couple of clips of him looking good at practice on Twitter earlier today. I like the Titans here.
Yeah, so I like the Titans. Don't get me wrong. I'll say this. I think that I like the under more and more. I know that Tennessee, ever since Ryan Tannehill arrived, they're the best team in the NFL in that span in terms of the over. But look, the Cardinals were 7-0-1 to the under last year on the road. All right. And 2, the big thing about it is this, and you kind of just alluded to it. The Titans offense hasn't played all preseason. Right? Like, we haven't seen these guys at all. We haven't seen Tannehill. We haven't seen Henry. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to have a bad game. I'm just saying that I think that there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period. Plus, there's a brand new OC here as well. All right. In Todd Downing. So I'm going to take my chances here. It's 51.5. I think the total's actually climbed to 52 in the last 20 minutes or so. I'm going to roll with the under on this one. And you know what? If I lose the bet, I lose the bet. But the data tells me that this could be a game that's decided on the ground, right, with 2 teams looking to run the ball. And, yeah, I think that there's just going to be a little bit of an adjustment period here. So I'm going to roll with the under on this one. What do you got?
I was just going to say, I'm looking at the odds now. A few books have moved to 52.5. So
yeah, see, there we go. It's climbing. I'm telling you, I'm going to go the opposite route, man. And there's not a lot of unders that I'm going to play in the NFL in week 1, but well, there's a couple, but I'm going to play this one for sure, and I'm going to let this thing climb a little bit. But, yeah, that's my play on this one. All right, second one, college football. We've got Pitt coming to Knoxville, playing Tennessee. Pitt opened 1.5-point favorite. They're now a 3.5-point favorite, a total of 56.5. So we saw these 2 teams play last week. Where do you sit here, Brian? What do you think?
If it were 3 and 3.5 right now, is that what we said?
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah, that's what I thought. If at 3, I guess slight lean to Pitt, but I just don't trust their quarterback. Kenny Pickett, he played good this past week, but that's UMass. Had 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions, but Pickett's been around forever. In fact, he's got 36 career starts, but he's turnover prone. His career TDI&T ratio is 39 to 25. He used his tight end, Lucas Kroll, who was at Florida previously, was with Pitt last year, played pretty good early in the year. Then he got hurt and he was out for the season. He had 5 catches, 58 yards, and 1 touchdown. Again, it's UMass. But, I mean, Bowling Green and UMass are definitely in the bottom 5 right there with Akron and UConn. And, yeah, those 4 are probably the bottom 4 in all of college football. They beat UMass 51-7 as a 38-point favorite. It slipped over the 56-point total. Pitt brought back 8 starters on offense, 6 on defense. They only lost 10 lettermen. They finished 6-5 last year. Their losses, they had a 1-point loss at BC, a 1-point loss to NC State, but they lost by double digits to Clemson, Notre Dame, and Miami. With all that said, I probably slightly lean to Pitt, -3, but we got a full menu this weekend. I doubt this one's going to be on my card.
All right, so I feel you there. Let me say, this is one of my best bets of the entire weekend across college football and the NFL. Take the hell out of the under 56.5. Take it. I'm telling you, for everything that you just said in regards to Pitt, their offense, their quarterback, the same thing with Tennessee's offense, right? Like what we saw out of Tennessee against Bowling Green is horrific. So not only could Tennessee do whatever that they wanted, and they had phenomenal field position the entire game because Bowling Green's offense legitimately could not do a thing. I think this is going to be a pretty ugly game. I don't see either team, punching in defensive touchdowns either. There's going to be turnovers, but I'm going to play the under on this. I think it's honestly, I love everything about this play. We played Tennessee the under last week. That one hit. I'm going to roll with it. I'm going under 56.5 because, I just don't think this is going to be a pretty game. I don't want anything to do with the spread. I think Pitt wins probably, but if it's sitting at 3.5, I don't want anything to do with it whatsoever. I'm going to roll the under 56.5 and be on my way. All right, the third game that we have here, Vanderbilt at Colorado State. Colorado State opened like a 1-point favorite at Circa. They're a 7-point favorite now. The total's 50.5. Now, we saw Vanderbilt. They lost to an FCS team in week 1 at home. And then come to find out that Clark Lee and Vanderbilt got rid of their offensive coordinator in camp that they just brought in. So it makes sense that their offense looked horrible because they're essentially going through a brand new install of an offense here. So I'll throw it to you first, man. Vandy, Colorado State 7-point favorite, 50.5 total.
Well, I said Bowling Green and Akron and UConn and UMass are in the bottom 4. Well, Vanderbilt and Colorado State after week 1 are not far behind. Not only do they both lose to FCS schools, they both got blown out at home by FCS schools. South Dakota State beats Colorado State 42-23. And like you said, East Tennessee State beats Vandy 23-3. So we got 2 bad football teams here. I can't believe Ken. I'm kind of high on Ken Seals. I mean, the quarterback for Vandy. He played well against the Gators last year. He showed a lot of toughness last year. I was thinking he was going to be ready to make a nice jump this year because Vandy's receivers are pretty good. If they have a position group that isn't in the bottom 2 or 3 in the SEC, I'd say it's probably their receivers. But 3 points against East Tennessee State. Yikes. I'll probably be staying way, way, way far away from this one. Don't want anything to do with it.
Yep, I agree completely. I'm not betting this game. Don't want anything to do with it. If I did, I would take Colorado State with the points because at least they put up 23. I mean, at least their offense showed something. Right? And I'm with you. I love Ken Seals. He's a tough dude, man. And he covered a lot of back doors for me last year with Vanderbilt. I think I don't know if Florida was one. I know LSU game. The kid was tough, but this Vanderbilt team has issues. I'm not going to bet it because who the hell knows what's going to happen here. But if I were, there's no way I would bet Vanderbilt. There's just no way. They're going to have to show me something because, and especially going on the road. They were at home. I just can't do it. I'm not going to mess with it. But yeah, if I did, it'd be Colorado State for sure.
And they're playing at elevation.
That's another good point.
Yeah.
That's another good point. Yeah, I'm not. There's no way that I would bet on Vanderbilt. There's zero chance. Now, again, nothing against them. I like everybody over there, but yeah, I mean, if I'm betting real money, yeah, we're gonna have to wait on that one, baby. All right. So now what I want to do, look, Brian, what I want to do is this. Let's jump straight to the SEC. All right, we've got a nice slate here for week 2 across the league. Now we've got, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. And let me get this here on the board so everybody can see it. We've got 4 games between FBS and FCS teams, so they do not have a line. And those teams, Alabama State and Auburn, no line. Mercer at Alabama, no line. Austin Peay and Ole Miss, no line. McNeese at LSU, no line. But
those lines will be out Friday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got some games, though. All right, we talked about Pitt, 3.5 Tennessee, South Carolina, 2-point dog at East Carolina, Florida, 28-point favorite, and everybody can see on the bottom here. Well, I'll just keep going through it. UAB at Georgia, 24.5. A&M at Colorado, A&M 17-point favorite. NC State, 2.5-point favorite, Mississippi State. Texas, 6.5-point favorite at Arkansas. Missouri and Kentucky playing each other. Kentucky's 5-point favorite. We talked about Vanderbilt, a 7-point dog at Colorado State. So what I want to do, kind of the same situation of what we just did in the first segment. I want to identify what our best bets are, okay? And it could be one that you have, something that you're leaning towards right now. It could be 10. But I just want to kind of get a list here so that we can start identifying these, marking them down, taking them when we need to take them, waiting for a number, etc. So, Brian, I kick it to you first, man. What do you see on the board for the SEC this week?
I like UAB. They've had a little extra rest. They played on Wednesday. You know, Georgia was in a dogfight late into Saturday night. UAB is a solid team. They've won Conference USA several times. Granted, Conference USA is a garbage league, but they've won the league several times the last few years. 2017, their first year back from that hiatus when they shut the whole program down. They go 8-5, then they go 11-3, then they go 9-5, then they go 6-3. They get a win over Jacksonville State last week. They got a veteran quarterback in Tyler Johnston, who was right on the money with a couple of deep balls last week, and their receivers dropped them. But the main thing here is UAB's got a solid defense. Their last 3 years, they've given up 17 points per game, 21.6, and 21.4 points per game. They went to Miami last year in September in the heat. They lost 31-14. I'm trying to look back. They actually lost to Tennessee 30-7 2 years ago. I'm trying to just look for when their last Power 5. They lost 41-20 at A&M in 2018. So those things don't necessarily talk you into wanting to play them. But look, Georgia's offense obviously didn't score any the other night. Their defense looked like gangbusters, and credit to them. I've got them up to number 2 in my power rankings. But offensively, they're still missing a lot of pieces. And I know they're saying Dominic Blaylock is going to be back soon, and so is Darnell Washington. But I'm not sure if they're going to be back this week. And, you know, that was part of my solid part, or a lot of part of my reasoning for liking Clemson was all these offensive weapons that Georgia is without. Now, some of them are going to be back. And, again, Blaylock and Washington should be back soon. But I don't think they're going to be back this week. And UAB has a feisty defense, and Georgia's offense just did not look very good last night or the other night. Now, UAB's defense is not as salty as Clemson's, obviously, but I think this is an inflated number. I played it Sunday night. I got it at plus 27, so that number is gone. But I still like UAB. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I just passed it. It was right here. Yeah, 24.5. I got it at 27. But as long as it's 24 and a half, I like it. Don't love it. I'm not saying I love it at 27, but I bet it at 27.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an ugly game. I'll say this. I would bet Georgia the first half. I don't know what that number is, but I bet that they make an absolute emphasis to get their offense going, however possible. So I feel that Georgia first half would be a really, really good play. As for the second half, I could see both teams just trying to get the hell out of here. Run the ball, UAB is a well-coached team. Like you said, Georgia's a well-coached team. There's nothing to prove, right? So I think, if anything, this isn't on my list, but if it were, Georgia first half seems like it'd be the play for me. I've got 3. Obviously, you already heard the Pitt at Tennessee under 56.5. I would jump all over that as soon as you can. The second one, Florida minus 28. And it sounds weird, but that's a lot of points. But Dan Mullen is not afraid of scoring points. And I think that he does not care. I think that he will legitimately try to put as many points as he can on the board. And not like he's looking to blow teams out per se, but he kind of does. Like, it fits his model. He does not care at all, because the entire marketing and recruiting factor of what Florida football is beating the hell out of you offensively and putting up points. And their defense is better than people think. So I don't mind taking 28 with Florida here. I think it's not a bad play. And then my last one is Missouri at Kentucky under 56. Buddy, I don't know if this game gets to 46. Like, I love this under in this one. Kentucky's quarterback is good. He's fun, man. But I think that, again, this is probably going to be a pretty ugly game as well. So, yeah, I love the under 56 on that one. Any more games? Any more thoughts that you have, SEC West?
Yeah, well, Will Levis looked really good. He's got a big arm. And Wan'Dale Robinson, the transfer wide receiver from Nebraska, who led Nebraska in all their receiving categories last year, he gives their passing game some pop. And with Kentucky having a big arm quarterback, it doesn't seem like they've had a big arm quarterback in a long time. By the way, he had 4 touchdown passes the other day and 1 interception, but the interception hit his guy right in the hands and deflects off, and then they get the pick. But Will Levis looked good. I mean, we knew Kentucky's going to be good defensively, and they've got a really good running back in Chris Rodriguez. But now it looks like they've got a passing game. That makes them look dangerous to me. I made Kentucky a 6.5-point favorite. I certainly lean to them at 5, right? Yeah. And just FYI, there was a tweet out this morning from a couple of South Carolina beat writers that Kevin Harris is going to be full go this week. I feel like they were saying that last week, though. But it was, he hasn't been healthy all of camp. Why play him against Eastern Illinois? Let your younger backs get some playing time. So I tend to think it's legit this time. And since those tweets went out a few hours ago, East Carolina's gone for -2 to pick them. And I like South Carolina in this game, even though ECU has got a couple extra days of rest because they played last Thursday. And I do respect ECU's quarterback, Holton Ahlers. But I think South Carolina's going to be able to run the ball on them. And I think South Carolina's defense is pretty good. I'm not saying it's the huge play on my part. We don't even know if Luke Godey's going to play, but Zeb Nolan, who started camp as a grad assistant, had 4 touchdown passes without an interception. I'll be against Eastern Illinois. But if they get Kevin Harris back, which sounds like they are, he's one of the best running backs in the SEC. I mean, on that pedestrian offense last year, he had 1,138 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns, and a 6.2 yards per carry average. So I lean South Carolina. As for the Florida game, I might be looking at them first quarter or first half, but I would think they were -7 in the first quarter the other day, but they were 23.5-point favorite. They're 28-point favorite here, so it might be -10 in the first quarter. You got to bank on them getting 2 touchdowns and definitely holding UCF. So I don't know. If the first half is 17 or fewer, I might think about the Gators. I don't want to commit to that right now and wait till later in the week. Maybe we'll have some first half lines by Friday. I think we probably will. What else? Oh, well, we don't have a line yet for Alabama, but if we learned anything, and not necessarily for Mercer because their first half and first quarter lines might be completely outrageous, but I think we learned that every SEC game that we want to be back in Alabama in the first quarter and first half, just like we have been the last few years when they went 11-2 against the spread in the first half last year. I think they're going to be great in the first half again this year. And, man, Bryce Young, watch, rinse, repeat, man. He looks legit, don't you think?
The young king, man. He looks good. Yeah, and look, there's no reason to stop betting Alabama first halves. And I was looking at the numbers. I went through it. Since 2016, I think 2016 in week 1 games, Alabama, had an average margin of victory around 32, 33 points, somewhere around there. in week 2 since 2016, it's 37. And it's not all scrubs that they played. I think they played Texas A&M last year and blew them the hell out, right? Like, I mean, Alabama shows up in week 2. So, there's no reason to not play their first half. Look, it's going to lose at some point, but playing it all year long, like, it looks like nothing has changed whatsoever, from last season. So, yeah, I'm with you. All right, now I want to switch to the NFL because we do have week 1 here. We've got a game Thursday night, Cowboys at Bucks. But what I want to look at, let's look at the entire slate. Okay, so let me get this here on the screen so everybody can see. So here are your NFL week 1 odds, and I'm not going to read them out. You can see them here. All of them from BetMGM. What I want to do again, essentially the exact same thing we just did in the SEC. I want to start identifying where our leans, where our best bets are, where our games are that we like, and then we can start making decisions from there. It's only Tuesday. Be careful. Be careful this year in any football bets. This COVID thing, man, like it can attack at any point. I know that you can't plan for it, but dude, what are you going to do, right? So, Brian, I'll go first on this one. There's 4 that I like, all right? The first one, the Ravens minus 4.5 against the Raiders. Look, don't overthink this game. The last 3 years, the Ravens have outscored their opponents 144-19 in season opening games. In fact, they've won all 3 of their last 3 season openers by 30-plus points. The Ravens are a better team offensively. The Ravens are a better team offensively. The Ravens are a better team defensively. And the Ravens might have the best field goal kicker in the league. Like, what do you want? And Lamar Jackson, 13-4-1 against the spread on the road in his NFL career. He does not mind playing it. And then finally, you look, the Ravens back-to-back years have had the number 1 team rushing offense in the NFL. The Raiders, bottom 10. Just don't overthink it. The Ravens minus 4.5, take it. You're good to go. The Bills minus 6.5 at home against the Steelers. It's a little bit large of a number, but the Bills are the Bills. They finished their last, I think, 6 regular season games covering the spread. The last 2, they won by 20-plus points. I have no issues taking the Bills. They looked phenomenal. The little that we saw in terms of Josh Allen in the preseason, they haven't skipped a beat. Not to mention, I don't trust the Steelers' offense, and the Bills' defense is better, way better than the Steelers' offense. So I like the Bills there. Falcons minus 3 at home against the Eagles. Look, I like Jalen Hurts. I have no idea what I'm going to get out of the Eagles and Nick Sirianni, their brand new head coach. And
What'd you say? Is Devontae? Remember, he got hurt at the beginning of camp. Is Devontae Smith back?
Yeah, I think he's going to play. I think he's going to be there. But still, I trust the Falcons here. I trust Arthur Smith. I think the Falcons are a much better team, much better quarterback, much better on offense, much better on defense. Honestly, I think the Falcons are just a better team. If you can give me 3 at home, I'll take it. Ride with it. Last one, Bears of the Rams, under 46. Look, that's a low number, but the Rams aren't a high-scoring team, right? Like, they want to beat you 20-7. That's their style of game. And the Rams, if there's any coach in the NFL who does not take the preseason seriously at all, it's Sean McVay. He didn't play anybody out there. So there's going to be a little bit of a rust factor. They want to run the ball. I don't trust the Bears scoring on that defense with Andy Dalton at all whatsoever. And what are they going to do? Bring in Justin Fields? I mean, I like Fields, but good luck, dude. That's a top 3 defense. So I'm going to roll with the under 46. I could see the Rams honestly winning this game 24-7, 24-10, right? Just get in, win the game, and get the hell out of there. So, yeah, those are my 4, man. What do you got?
Well, we know I like the Titans. I'm leaning the Falcons now that it's gone from 3.5 to 3. I'm leaning the G-Men +3 to the Broncos. I think Daniel Jones is ready to make something happen this year. Obviously, it's a critical year for him. And I think he's ready to ball out. And I know that they're probably not going to have a heavy workload on Saquon, but all indications are that he is going to play. Correct? I believe that's the case. So,
yeah.
I don't want to throw a bunch of other plays out there because I want to go over the injury report, which should be out if it isn't already. And I haven't gotten there yet as I've been mainly just focused on some college stuff. But those are some leans I've already played the Titans, and then I'm leaning the Giants, and I already played the Falcons a little bit. But I'll know more about Friday when I've investigated all the injury reports, etc.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that's why I wanted to do this, right? Is just kind of getting our first look at it. We don't have to make decisions right now, but we can start to kind of identify what we like and work from there and study those injury reports. Trust me, those things are very, very, very important. Ever since last year, basically, once COVID got here, just do your homework, man. Do your due diligence on that. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Now, before we jump in our last segment here, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, I think everybody will like it. Real quick, Brian, your thoughts here. Where is it here? All right, Jeff Rubel asked, interested in your thoughts of Ohio State versus Oregon. It's in Columbus, in Ohio. Remember, Ohio State top two corners didn't play last week. Brian, what are your thoughts on it? It's a big game. I think Ohio State is, a 13 and a half point favorite? It's somewhere around
it was I think it was 14 or 14 and a half at last look. Well, Oregon has got a very, 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 very important injury. One of the best players in the country, in Kayvon Thibodeau, who got rolled up on his ankle in the Fresno State game, and he had to leave early, and he did not return. He went to the locker room and came back in street clothes. They're listing him questionable right now. If he's unable to go, that's a huge loss for Oregon's defense. But, Oregon was in a slobber knocker with Fresno for 4 quarters. They got a long touchdown run by their QB, Anthony Brown. I want to say there was about 5-ish minutes left in that game. It was tied at 24, and they won 31-24. But Fresno easily covered in that one. But, Ohio State was pretty fortunate last week as well. Muhammad Ibrahim, the great running back from Minnesota, who'd been gashing them, 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. He goes down in the late third quarter with, unfortunately, a season-ending injury. And I thought a couple of calls went against the Gophers in that game. But it's a Big Ten road win by double digits. But I didn't think Ohio State looked that overly impressive last week, but I didn't think Oregon looked very good either. It seems like a lot of points, but I don't know. Maybe 14 is probably a good number. I don't have any strong feel either way at this point in the week. We'll see where Thibodeau is later in the week.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think that if you're going to roll Ohio State, 14 is as high as I would go. I don't want to go 14 and a half. 13 and a half is a great number. Look, I think that, honestly, this is a game of wherever it's being played is probably going to cover, right? If this were in Oregon, I'd probably take Oregon with the points. Obviously, it'd be a little bit lower. Here's the hard part. Oregon, yes, they were in a dogfight with Fresno State. Fresno State's a pretty good team. So you think that there's going to be a big, kind of bounce up from week 1 to week 2 for Oregon. But like you said, Ohio State didn't play that great either. Now, I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm saying that Ohio State can get much better as well. I think that they're going to have a step up from what we saw, week 1 against Minnesota. So Ohio State coming back home, playing this game while having the opportunity. I mean, look at Ohio State from the first half to the second half. That was a massive jump in terms of their offense, right? Once Ryan Day started kind of getting in their ass a little bit, Ohio State, they juiced it up. And I think that they're going to do that this week. I love Ohio State, 13 and a half. 14's as high as I would go. I don't want to go over that just because I just don't want to play those numbers. But 13 and a half Ohio State, shoot, man, give it to me all day long. All right, now, what I want to do here, and this is going to be fun, and I want everybody to kind of put in your picks here as well, because this is kind of for all of us together. So I want to build the perfect parlay, okay? But I also want to build it to where we can limit the sweat and the stress as much as possible. So understand what I'm saying. I want to list teams in college football and the NFL this weekend. Money line, not any spreads, not any totals. Teams that are just going to win games, okay? And I understand that there's going to be some heavy favorites here. And I'm not saying go Florida minus 10,000. We're not saying that. Let's keep it in the stratosphere here. But I want to identify teams that make sense in a parlay. So let me give you mine, Brian, and it'll make sense, okay? So in college football, these are the teams that I've kind of identified. There's 5 of them. Notre Dame, Liberty, Army, Miami, Kentucky. I think those 5 teams win. Now, if you parlayed those 5 college football teams, just them, it's plus 364. All right. Now, let me add in the NFL. I have 6 teams: the Bucks, the Ravens, the Bills, the Rams, the Chiefs, the 49ers. Again, not talking about spread, not talking about total. I'm just talking about the team winning the game. All right. Those 6 NFL teams, if you just parlayed those 6, it's plus 484. If you parlayed both the NFL and the college football picks, it is plus 2611. All right. And I'm not going to lie, I've played the college one, the NFL one, and all of it together already. I've already got it put in, BetMGM, it's ready to go. But you kind of understand the game of what I'm playing now, right? Like, that's what I want to look at. That's what I want to find. Again, no spread, no total, just teams that aren't minus 10,000, but that are going to be in what we call our parlay pool. All right. And, you know, you might see some that you like, don't like. I'm not saying everybody has to play these teams, and you probably have different teams than I do. But just to kind of whiteboard this thing and have teams on there that we could say, okay, I like that one. Let me get that one. Like, we could all kind of build our own, right? So does that make sense?
Yep. Right. And I've got one.
Let it rip. Yeah, what you got?
Okay. USC minus 1,000 at home to Stanford. As you saw, Stanford looked awful and getting smashed by Kansas State. And what the hell was David Shaw doing? He's down 24-0. They score a touchdown with like 4 minutes left. And he doesn't go for 2, which you always go for 2 down 24-16. But then he does an onside kick. Like, if you're going to say uncle and don't do the onside kick. But then he gets the onside, like, I don't know about David Shaw these days. Anyhow, the next one, A&M minus 900 in Denver against Colorado. Ohio State minus 650 against Oregon. Rutgers, I like this as a straight bet too. Rutgers is like minus 2 at Syracuse. Although the Cuse did get a decent win. They were a home dog to Ohio, won 29-9. And then Air Force minus 250 at Navy. Navy got absolutely trucked at home by Marshall. And Air Force does have to come across the country. And I used to love Ken Nui Matalolo. He had some great years there, but it's gone south on him here lately. And they look like they're very bad this year. So USC to beat Stanford, A&M to beat Colorado, Ohio State to beat Oregon, Rutgers to beat Syracuse, and Air Force to beat Navy. And that gets back plus 249.31.
Love it. I love it. Now, I'm going to list mine one more time. We had some folks in the chat that said, kind of if you could repeat that, because I know I went fast. The NFL, Bucks, Ravens, Bills, Rams, Chiefs, 49ers. College football, Notre Dame, Liberty, Army, Miami, Kentucky. All right. And Brian, list yours one more time.
Yeah. So I've got USC to beat Stanford, A&M to beat Colorado, Ohio State to beat Oregon, Rutgers to beat Syracuse, Air Force to beat Navy, plus 249.31.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. All right, now, Brian, I want to go through. We started this before the season had started. We did it, I think, 2 weeks ago, of your power rankings. All right, so we've got the top 15 teams in college football according to you. Okay. So I'm going to put these on the board here so everybody can see. Run us through quickly. Who are your top 15?
Bama is the uno, and I don't think anybody's that close, or at least after what I saw in week 1. Georgia, number 2. I mean, that's just a great win against Clemson, even if they were inept offensively, and they've got some personnel that'll be back soon. Ohio State didn't look like world beaters, but it's a win on the road by double digits. I got them 3. Ooh, Oklahoma. Well, that was Sketch City. That was Sketch City here and there. Michael Pratt for Tulane was balling out. Oklahoma 4, A&M 5, but Haynes King can't throw 3 interceptions very often. Clemson, they're 6th. Their O-line's got issues. Georgia's got a great defense. They'll be okay, though. I've got Florida 7. Like, Gator fans got to feel great. We had the worst defense in more than 4 decades last year, and I know it's just FAU, but they had 0 on the scoreboard with less than 7 minutes left. That is a plus. And then the freshman quarterback, Anthony Richardson, looking good. And, hey, how about Sark's debut? Took my money. Half tip to you. He had some really good play calls on some key third down situations. That game was a little closer than the final indicated, but Texas is a high riser for me after that win. Cincy 9, Ritter looked great. Iowa State looked awful. They're just terrible in season openers every year. I don't know why, but I still think they'll be fine and be very good. It wasn't pretty for Penn State, but they got a win at Camp Randall. So, again, it wasn't pretty. And now it's a 5-game winning streak since starting 0-5 last year. Notre Dame, they survived some adversity, an electric atmosphere, a feel-good story for the ages, potentially with Mackenzie Milton, and they got it done in overtime, so they're 12. Iowa just mauled Indiana. I still have concerns about their quarterback, but they got a defense and a running game, and that's a solid win over Indiana. Utah, give me 2. Charlie Brewer's their quarterback, kind of like I was saying Kentucky with Levis. Utah normally doesn't have a big arm quarterback. Utah's got one now. And USC, they beat San Jose State 30-7. The Spartans had won 9 of their last 10, but straight up and against the spread. So there's my top 15, and I always base it on who I'd make favored over whom tomorrow on a neutral field. And before we go, just a couple of shout-outs. Michigan State running back Kenneth Walker, 264 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on just 23 carries. Sparty with a surprising 38-21 beatdown at Northwestern. And y'all have heard me talk about the Western Kentucky quarterback Bailey Zapp, who transferred from Houston Baptist. Outstanding debut for him, 28 of 35, 424 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. The under-the-radar game this week for me is Western Kentucky at Army. Army smashed Georgia State. Georgia State was without its stud receiver, Sam Pinckney, but nevertheless. Oh, and just one other thing, keep in mind, Bumper Poole, star linebacker for Arkansas, second-team All-SEC last year. He got a targeting penalty in the second half against Rice, so he has to sit out the first half against the Longhorns.
Yeah, it's brutal. That might be a Texas first half play there. So, yeah, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And we'll be back Friday, same time, and we're going to go through all of our bets, lock them in, both college football, the NFL, parlays, plus we're going to have props as well that we're going to go through. So we want to make sure that we hit all that. But for Brian Edwards, I'm Alan Bell. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to BetMGM, A to Z Sports. Buddy, let's line these on the board. Let's get our tickets ready, and let's cash them, man. Have a good day, yo.
Everybody have a good day.